this anymore. It gets so violent, so terrible, disastrous. I don't know why I go to Parliament anymore. My children, could you fetch my bathing jug there? Thank you. Thank you. Woe be to me, woe be to me. The life of a Puritan is a terrible ordeal. I have to get splattered with tomatoes all day in Parliament. What, you thought this was blood? No, this is tomatoes, I say. Oh, there we go. There we go. Thank you so much, my children. Wait a minute. I don't have children. Who are you?
We're randos. Culture the blood.
I see you're a bunch of strange future people, yes?
Yeah, we time travelers.
You know, are you sure you guys want to come back to this time, 1620? It's a dreadful time. The world is going through so much divide. It's tough. Are you sure you want to join us, huh?
Yeah.
You know, even my beautiful wife Mary died. It was that dreadful plot with Guy Fawkes against the terrible King James. Oh, he had put a whole bunch of dynamite under Parliament. Yes. And just before he lit the fuse, the royalists, the people that love the king, they spotted him and caught him. And so they rounded up all of Guy Fawkes' followers and executed them all people who hated the king. Ugh. And word had it that the royalists' aunts, brothers, mothers, dog's friend spilled the beans that my wife was a part of it. I wonder how they got that. Anyway, they executed my beautiful Mary. Ugh. You know, children, now that you're here, one of my wife's greatest wishes was that we should have children, but the chance never came. I thought, perhaps to honor her, how about, would you guys like to be my children for the day? And I'll show you what it means to be a Puritan from the 1600s, huh?
Why not? Yeah, that'll be fun.
Excellent, yes, well, my children, very good. We'll have a great adventure, hooray! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Stone to Steve, where I'll take you through all of history from beginning up until present times. And in our last installment, we visited the conquistadors from Spain, yes? Ah, yes. But little do we know that while the conquistadors were headed over to Spain in the early 1500s, something else was happening in the Holy Roman Empire at the same time. The Holy Roman Empire is basically what we call Germany today. And so, what happened was a certain man named Martin Luther thought that the church had become corrupt and terrible. And so Martin Luther reformed the church in what became known as the Protestant Reformation. And so, while that was happening in our last installment, the world was changing right under our noses. And so something you must know before we talk about the Protestant Reformation. Oh, those dreadful future royalists! Thank you there! Shut those royalists in their castle, thank you! Excellent. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yes. So, the world before the 1500s, the Middle Ages, all throughout the medieval days and the Dark Ages, Christian Europe was ruled by what we call basically the Pope. So, in modern terms, we call it Catholicism, Catholics. But back then, that was basically the only branch of Christianity that existed. And so what happened was, the peasants were all the way at the bottom of the pile, and they would answer to their feudal lords, and the feudal lords would answer to the kings, and the kings would answer to the Pope. And the Pope held all divine authority. Only through him could you speak to God, and only through the saints could you speak to God. But suddenly this man, Martin Luther, came and he thought that away with this system, it's become corrupt. The Pope has way too much power and extravagance. And so Martin Luther decided to reform the church and created what is called Protestantism. And I am a simple man, a Puritan, who advocates for Protestantism and this new Reformation, this world order. So ladies and gentlemen, a brief background of the show, and I'll explain the outfit at the end. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 1620. Yes, my children. So, I've always wanted to tell the story of Martin Luther to my lovely children, and now I can. So, would you guys all like to hear the story of Martin Luther?
Sure, yeah, that's fine.
Yes, excellent, that's the spirit. All right, fine. Let me proceed then. All right. Come on, hurry up. So children, the story of Martin Luther is a jolly fine story, I say. It all began on a beautiful day, and this young man, Martin Luther, was taking a walk back home. He was only 21 years old at the time, and so Martin Luther was walking around back home when suddenly, crash, bang, a great thunderstorm struck. And so Martin Luther, fearing his life, got down on his knees. And he was afraid that he could be struck by the lightning, dead. And he was worried that he hadn't lived a good enough life to be granted into the gates of heaven. And so he got on his knees and prayed to the saints who delivered the message to God. He prayed that he be saved from the storm, and if God granted him safety, he would devote his entire life to becoming a monk and walk the way of Christ, yes? And so Martin Luther survived the storm, and he went on to becoming a wonderful monk, yes? And so years later, Martin Luther was a beautiful monk writing all his lovely ideas, but he was a bit angry. He had feared that the church had become corrupt, that the Pope was corrupting everything. Oh dear. And so Martin Luther wanted to change the church and reform it forever. And so Martin Luther came up with his 90 theses that he wrote on a board and stuck them on the church. And so with Martin Luther's 90 theses on the front door of the church, people started to see his radical new ideas that we must get rid of the Pope and that we must talk to God directly. Oh, this got many people angry. And so what happened was, in the Holy Roman Empire, as he lived in at that time, they called on the Diet of Worms, which is basically a chance for Martin Luther to stand up in front of everyone and renounce what he had said, to say that he was wrong. No, my friends, Martin Luther stood his ground like the good man he was. And so he denied what they said, and he said that only if you can prove me wrong with scripture, then is my theories wrong. And so the tribunal thought and thought, but they couldn't prove him wrong. So eventually they decreed that Martin Luther is an outlaw for all these radical ideas. In these days, if you opposed the Catholic Church, you could be executed. And so Martin Luther ran away to his friend Frederick the Wise, and he hid with Frederick, and this is where he compiled and translated the Bible into German. Ladies and gentlemen, back then in the Middle Ages, the Bible only existed in English and Latin. Not English, Latin and Greek, yes? So only the kings and the wealthy clergymen could read the Bible. The poor people could not. They didn't know how to read. And so Martin Luther spent his days with Frederick rewriting the New Testament and translating it into the language of the time, to English. And so what happened was, these texts started to spread around the world. Oh, people loved it. They cheered and cheered. Oh, I wish it was that great. No, it was actually worse than that. People started to use the word to bend it around. Now that the common people had access to the Bible, they started using the Bible for their own everyday arguments. Martin Luther had started something that he never foresaw. But eventually, as Martin Luther's days went and reached their end, he had started something much more grand, the Protestant Reformation. And he, alongside fellow people who agreed with his new way of life, started to come and call themselves Protestants. And so, my friends, that is the great history of my family, the Puritans. We went all the way to England, brought in Protestantism, and now we sit here getting tomatoed by the Catholics and the Royalists. Anyway, it's a life that one has to live in dutiful service for God, I say. Yes, that's the story of Martin Luther. Thank you, my friends, my children. Did you like the story, children?
Yes.
Oh, I know, it was so wonderful. Anyway, so children, I thought, before bedtime, we could how about show you a few things of what it means to be a Puritan. You guys like to see how Puritans had fun? Oh, yes, yes. All right, I'll be needing a few more volunteers. Anybody want to come and see what Puritans did for fun? Yes, you there. Come on up there. You as well, come up. And last one there. More future people. Well, my wife always wanted 8 children. 7 children. 6 children, I mean, sorry. Mary could never make up her mind. So, welcome there, my future people. So, you guys want to know what Puritans did for fun, yes?
Yes.
I didn't hear you.
Yes.
Excellent. So, what do you think Puritans did for fun? Any ideas? Yes? Play games? Yes.
Run around and play hide and seek.
Run around and play hide and seek, yes.
Do jokes.
Jokes? Yes? Well, that's a bit more godly, yes. No, children, no. Us Puritans who want to know what we had for fun, we sat in silence and prayed. All right, let's go. Hands together, eyes closed. Lovely pray, nothing but us, the sound of silence and God. You don't like praying?
No,
Right, fine.
I hate praying. It's not even fair.
All right.
Boring.
Another thing that us Puritans did was a special type of music. Yes?
Yeah.
All right. You guys want to hear what hear me sing?
I know. Tomato noise.
No.
The Lord's Prayer.
We don't sing it per se. Well, my friends, you want to hear me sing, all right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Start.
That was it.
What?
Us Puritans hated music. Music is dreadful and disgraceful,
No,
derogatory.
it's not.
It is.
It is
No,
not.
it is.
No, it's not.
Fine, all right.
You're a child.
I'll tell you what. You guys want to know what we did for Christmas?
Yes.
Yes. All right. So how you do it is when we do our Puritanly preparation for Christmas, we go through a very special ritual. You want to see what ritual we do? Right. Take your hands like this. Clench your fists and practice left, right, punch. And maybe even a kick as well. Yes, us Puritans hated Christmas, and we always got a real fight with people of trying to stop it. So this is how we celebrated it. Although it was a bit of fun, yes. Anyway, my children, thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed the games. Can I have a sit down again? Right. Right. My friends, sit down again, although you three stay here, all right? I wanted to show you one more thing, all right? So, I am so excited. Did you guys have a fun day today, huh?
Yes. It was interesting. Interesting.
Yes, they loved it. Excellent. Oh yes, and we have such an exciting day tomorrow, and oh dear. Oh, you guys can have a seat down. Yes, thank you. I'll see you again later. We have an exciting day planned ahead tomorrow. Another Parliament meeting at 10:10. Going to get tomatoed again. You know what? I'm fed up with this. I want us to leave, all right? You know what? We need to get out of here. I'm going to summon 𝐸𝐬𝐬𝐿. Well, no, 𝐸𝐬𝐬's collapsing. Yes, 𝐸𝐬𝐬, I'm going to find the fastest ride out of here. 𝐸𝐬𝐬.
Okay.
Ah, yes, right over here. It says there's a ship called the Mayflower leaving tomorrow, actually. Hurrah, hurrah! Just think about it, my children. Imagine it. Us going off to the new world. You can spend eternity with me. And we can play our games, have lovely no music, and lots of praying together forever in the new world. Doesn't that sound?
Thanks, but no thanks.
Can I go back to my...
Yeah, I prefer that.
Oh, those tears of joy sound so wonderful. Anyway, children, we must now be going to sleep for the long day tomorrow. So I will be bidding you all good night, and we'll be up nice and early for the Parliament meeting. Since you are such good children, I thought you could tag along with me to Parliament. Would you like to come and see what it's like in Parliament? Yes?
Sure. Okay.
Yes, I like the attitude. All right. Good night, my children. Good night. Yes. I always, my beautiful cross, I never go anywhere without it, I say. Always a great symbol of my faith to Protestantism, yes? Ah, yes. Anyway, I'm going to hang that up there for the night. Right, my children. Good night, be it to you all. Good night. Ah. It's morning already. Children, good morning, wake up now. Wake up, good morning. Anyway, children, today is a big day. We head over to Parliament now, right? So you will come along with me, but you will remain, yes?
Do we have to?
Yes, come along and see what it's like at Parliament, right? Okay.
I don't want to.
Right, my children, get yourselves ready. The meeting is at 10:30. We go in half an hour, right? Get yourselves ready. All right, it's 10:30 now.
I couldn't even go to the toilet.
All right, children,
Sushi.
come along. Off to Parliament now. Let's go.
You're not fully dressed.
Ah.
Where's your necklace? Where's your...
My what? Huh? Sorry?
Don't forget your cross.
I can't see anything with all this. Children,
Never mind.
in Parliament,
Never mind. Don't forget your cross.
is this how children in the future communicate?
Yes.
I like it. Nice and silent. Excellent. Right, so children, come with me.
I'm telling him that story.
Children, you need to be very nice and quiet. Behave. We need to show how well behaved us Puritans are, right?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, now for the great speaker for Puritanism, Charles the Puritan.
All right, children, it's my turn to speak now. Wish me luck, all right? In all of the history of man, never has there been a better Reformation than the Protestant Reformation. In all the years of man, never has there been a great individual than that the likes of Martin Luther. Speakers, King, audience. For too many years have us peasants in England been going through too much struggle and strife. We have been sitting and taking all the orders, all the taxes from the king. For what? For him to get richer while we remain poorer. For too long have the priests been sitting around collecting money as indulgences for all of the people, and that means that the richer have a better chance of getting into heaven than the poor. I say, none more of that. For today, we see a glorious new era. The great era of Puritanism and Protestantism. Future people, yes? Anyway, where was I? For too many years we've been suffering this oppression from King James. King James is a bad king, and I say we need to unite ourselves to rid the chains of oppression, of Catholic and papal oppression, from the Pope himself. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand here with my case. I stand here in all honesty before God himself, with a clear conscience, and anyone who dares oppress and go against with what I've said shall have to concede with God himself. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That brings me to the end of my speech. Let's get out of here. We're going to I'm home, children. Feels like we've been here already, huh? Another dreadful day at work. Children, can you bring me my bathing bucket, please?
It's right there.
Thank you.
Why do you do it if you don't like it? Yeah. Why do you do it if you don't like it?
Why do I do this if I don't like it? Because we have to stand our ground.
Exactly. Yeah. Should we start chucking the tomatoes back at them?
Listen,
I'm going to keep that.
my children, we Puritans, despite all the trial and grief that we go through, we have to stand our ground for the faith. Remember, our old ancestors used to be the old peasants serving under the kings and lords of England. King John especially. King John was a dreadful man, and ever since they signed Magna Carta, things got a bit better. But still, we've been oppressed for so many decades, and we have to take a stand to gain the rights for us poor people, right? Do you want to be oppressed and poor?
No. That's why we didn't come back.
Well, my ladies and gentlemen, I tell you that prospects in the new world is where it's at.
Yeah.
Sir, the new world, imagine it. Adventures beyond our imagination. We can go wherever we want or wherever we dare. Yes?
Yeah. Yes.
My friends,
Freedom.
exactly. This is what we need to do now. Unfortunately, it's been too oppressive in England, and hopefully we'll return one day. But we need to make a new life for ourselves. So, friends, want to get out to the new world?
Yeah.
Ye who says that the Mayflower departs in 1 hour. We need to get ready, quickly, quickly.
We need to cross. We need to cross.
Okay, we're ready.
My friends, I never like to be cross when I travel. I we're to be happy, yes? All right. All right, friends, come again.
I'm gonna leave it.
All right, friends, we depart. Why they keep telling me that I have to be cross when What's all this side?
We need to cross.
Anyway, goodness me, it's already 11 now. We need to head out to the Mayflower now. Come on,
You need your cross. You need your cross. Let's go get it. Yeah.
Hold on, wait for the future. Come, children, let's go off. Ah, you smell the lovely fresh air of the port, I say. All right, look at all its beauty, the Mayflower. It's our ticket out of here and out of oppression. All right, children, come, mind a step. All aboard the Mayflower, we depart in 10 minutes. Quickly, quickly, get on. I'm so excited for our journey up to the new world, aren't you, eh? I say, jolly excellent, huh? Anyway, prepare to cast off! Right, we're getting ready to go now, children. Whoa, hooray, hooray! It'll be nothing but us as a family, you by my side, and the great faith with us, the faith of Protestant. Where's my cross?
I love that.
Oh, no, I never travel anywhere. I never travel anywhere without my cross. We're gonna have to now go back to England. Let's I'm done
That's suicide. No, pull it back. Tie him down.
Oh, I know us Puritans might be quite strict, but I can't help but cracking a little joke over there. Children, sit down, don't worry. Us Puritans, we always renounce earthly possessions and treasures, yes? I can travel without my cross. It's just a piece of wood. The true, real faith is that of God Himself in our faith, all right? Don't worry, I'll just make a new cross. So, to the new one. To the new one!
Shoot.
I hear in the new world there's a whole lot of lovely celebrations for Christmas, and when we get back, it'll be time for Christmas. Yes, and we'll eat, drink, and be merry. Hooray! All right, we're going this Christmas in the new world. I'm going. Sorry, bye.
What?
Goodbye. I'd rather face my chances with tomatoes.
My father never left me. Where are you going?
Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of our show. Thank you very much. I'd rather face tomatoes than Christmas. I'd rather swim back to England, thank you. Anyway, volunteers, you're my children, you may have a seat again. Thank you very much.
He stole it.
My
He
cross!
stole it. No, the brother stole it.
Hooray! My cross, hooray! Oh, it's in the ocean, no! You saved it, thank you. My beautiful cross.
It's not dead. Oh,
There we are. Thank you, my children. Thank you. I never go anywhere without it. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is true. The Puritans were a great movement in Europe at the time, especially in England. And so they advocated for Protestantism. But of course, the king was giving them much oppression. And so what they thought is they need to leave. Not that soft. The Puritans felt that the only way to escape oppression and tyranny was to go off to the New World and seek refuge there. And so you found that many Puritans, yes, they decided to stay in England, but many other Puritans decided to leave and try out their hopes of the New World. And this was the foundations of America as we know it today. The foundation of Jamestown and the Plymouth colonies, 1621 was the first Thanksgiving, the very next year. So this, of course, I thought before we end off the show, I'll explain the attire, yes? Thank you very much, Future Machine. You served mighty well, even though I hate music. So yes, well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the typical attire of a Puritan from 1620. So as you can see, back then the fashion was quite different, and of course this is the age of big brimmed hats. And also, as you can see, going further down, I wear my big fluffy collars. So back then in the early 1600s, big collars were quite fashion. Remember the conquistadors 100 years ago? They loved their frills. Frills sort of evolved into collars during that 100 years. And of course, the word Puritan means pure. So the Puritans believed that they wanted to make themselves pure from all these excesses of the Catholic Church and the Pope. And so of course they dressed accordingly. So what they would do is they would wear very plain and simple colors, blacks, whites, browns. And so your typical Puritan would dress in dark, drab colors. And going further down, I wear my lovely belt and buckle. Oh, us good Puritans can't go anywhere without a hardy belt and buckle, yes? And of course we'd wear our breeches combined with our stockings and leggings. So the leggings basically started evolving around that time from tights. And well, this is just your typical, even men wore these as well. Don't they look so beautiful, huh? Yeah, Puritan fashion. Oh, that's totally beautiful. Thank you there, thank you. Yes, nothing like those Catholics, yes. So did you know that in England it was a very divided time? And you've got Protestantism on one end and Catholicism on the other end. And so what ended up happening, guys, could I ask a little bit more silence, right? And what you found happening is that Catholics and the Royalists would dress more colourful and brightly, while the Puritans dressed more plain and simple colours. If you think about it, King James was the first king to start to bring in Catholicism, and he basically oppressed the Puritans. This is why some of you guys might recall Guy Fawkes. Some of you have heard of it, yes? Guy Fawkes was basically a man, a Puritan, who did believe that King James was a bad man for attacking the Puritans. And so King James decided to suppress all Puritans, and Guy Fawkes wanted to blow him up. But he never got to it, and they discovered him just before he lit the fuse. Imagine how different history would have been if King James was blown up, yes? And parliaments went with it. Well, it could have started a war. And actually a war did ensue later. But we'll get to the English civil wars in another day. But essentially, early 1600s, the world was now divided. After Martin Luther created what is Protestantism, it now created a divided world between Protestants and Catholics. And more on it in the future. But ladies and gentlemen, this is just what your typical man from 1620 looked like. Thank you very much. Yes. So now, ladies and gentlemen, for our last part of the show, I've got a little game for us to play at the table of history. It's a fun new little thing I've had. So whoever's interested, come and join me at the table of history, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you guys have. So, thank you for coming, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. That's more like no music at all. That's how us Puritans loved it. Beautiful sound of silence. I'll be at the table, all right? I'm getting out of here.